Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland. I'm on Braid Road in Edinburgh, and behind me you can see the hanging stains. So not stain as in something which is a bit dirty, but that's Scots dialect pronunciation of stone, because in Scots dialect people usually just change the vowel, one vowel in each word. So the hanging stones, so this is to indicate where there were gallows or there was a scaffold, and the last two highwaymen to be publicly executed, no, just executed actually in Scotland, were hanged right here, and this was the scene of the crime. So we're now perhaps 3 miles from the centre of Edinburgh, but back then this would have been considered the countryside, going up this hill where they knew that people would have to slow down. What was a highwayman? Well, a highwayman was an armed robber on horseback, as opposed to a footpad who was on foot, obviously. So Henry O'Neill and Thomas Kelly were the two highwaymen who were caught and hanged. Judging by their names, Irish. Anyhow, so most people didn't have horses. You're quite well off if you had a horse at all. Now, if you had a horse as a highwayman, then as an advantage you can get away faster. The disadvantage is the horse is big, you're more visible, it's more difficult to hide in a wood or something. Even if you're not recognised, you're wearing a mask, if you've got any sense, your horse might be recognised. These are very expensive items. Even a bad horse would be like a top-of-the-range car these days in terms of price. But like a footpad, you get away as much slower. On the other hand, there's no horse to be recognised, and you're much smaller, you're not so visible, you can hide much more easily. So notice these two men, they were put to death not for killing anyone or attempting to kill anyone, or so far as I know any act of violence, but simply armed robbery. So robbing with a threat of death, as in presenting the weapon, your money or your life, and that's how they were topped. So as of our very brutal times, I mean, I don't approve of the death penalty myself. If you have it at all, it's got to be for murder, and in categories of like premeditated murder, and used very sparingly when you are absolutely certain of guilt. And if they're going to kill someone at all, can you not make it an instantaneous, painless death? And this was the slow drop. These guys left to strangle. Could take them 20 minutes to die. It was horrific, and it was in public for people to see. Let justice be done, and for anyone who has armed robbery in his contemplation, let this be a warning to you. This is what you get if you do it. I'm not sure if their bodies were left to hang here for some time. That's it. I'm not sure how they were identified sometime later. So pretty terrible. So remember, under Scots law, a jury is large. It's 15 if I got that right, and they could go for the bastard verdict, not proven. There's guilty. We know what that is. There's not guilty. We all know what that is. Not proven. You're still free to go, no punishment, but there's some sort of stain on your honour that they voted not proven, or not proven, you may wish to pronounce it, rather than that. So anyway, highwaymen went into decline by the early 19th century because turnpike trusts had built roads or repaired existing Roman roads, put up fences, and so had to stop and pay a fee to drive your horse-drawn carriage along it. Also, to ride your horse, you could usually walk on them for free. And there were toll booths manned 24/7, so people would notice the highwayman coming and going. Obviously, you wouldn't be wearing your mask when you went onto a turnpike, unless you're a complete idiot. So it's not so easy to be observed. It's not so easy to avoid observation, rather. The population was growing. Obviously, railways were growing. More precious goods were going by canal. There were too many people around. It wasn't so easy to get away and hide as it had been. There were folk heroes to some knights of the road. There's some areas that were notorious. So they would sometimes even rob people on foot if they thought you had valuables. There's no point in robbing very poor people. They've got nothing to take, and they might fight against you. They might kill you, the poor people. Too many witnesses. No. You want to go for the wealthy, so long as they don't have an armed escort, and not too many of them. So sometimes people would wait to have 2 or 3 carriages going in a bit of a convoy. That's a bit too much for the highwayman to take on. But if you're in a real hurry, you might have to just go with your horse-drawn carriage. They want movables that are precious, like money, jewellery, watches, things like that. That's why the watch was always on a chain, because it was so expensive. So life was very cheap. They actually put a price on it. For so many shillings of even counted as grand larceny, you could be hanged, or even worse, a fate worse than death, transportation to Australia. Well, that's enough from the hanging stains. Toodaloo.